Welcome to our animated philosophy series, where we explore timeless concepts in a modern context. Today we're diving into one of the most influential ideas in the history of philosophy, the theory of knowledge by John Locke. Locke was a 17th century English philosopher, and he's considered one of the pioneers of modern empiricism. Empiricism is the idea that knowledge comes from experience, particularly through our senses. So, if you've ever wondered how we actually know things, how we understand the world, John Locke's ideas might just answer those questions for you. Let's start with Locke's famous concept of tabula rasa, or blank slate. Now, what does this mean? Well, Locke believed that when we are born, our minds are like blank slates, just empty canvases with nothing written on them. He argued that we don't have any built-in or innate ideas. So, unlike some earlier philosophers, like Plato, who thought we were born with knowledge already inside us, Locke said that everything we know comes from our experiences. Think about it like this: when you were born, your mind was like a brand new notebook. There were no scribbles, no notes, no doodles, just a clean page. As you grew older, all the experiences you went through, the things you saw, heard, touched, tasted, and smelled, started filling that notebook with information. Your sensory experiences wrote the knowledge into your mind. For example, you weren't born knowing what a tree is, right? It's only by seeing trees, touching their bark, smelling their leaves, and hearing their rustling in the wind that you start to understand what a tree is. Locke argues that all of your knowledge works in the same way, built step by step through your sensory experiences. Now, to explain perception and reality, Locke also introduced the distinction between primary and secondary qualities. This is key to understanding how we perceive the world. Primary qualities are those that exist in an object itself, things like its size, shape, motion, and number. These qualities are objective, meaning they exist whether we're there to experience them or not. Imagine a ball. It has a round shape, a certain size, and a specific weight. Those characteristics don't change just because we're not looking at the ball. But then there are secondary qualities which are more subjective. These are things like color, sound, taste, and temperature. For instance, the redness of an apple or the warmth of a cup of tea. These qualities depend on our senses to perceive them. So while the apple's redness is something we experience, Locke says that color doesn't really exist in the apple itself. It exists in our mind's interpretation of that sensory experience. This idea still influences modern discussions about how we experience reality. Now, let's bring this back to something more relatable. How does Locke's idea of the mind as a blank slate apply to the way we learn today? Think about modern education and child development. Locke's ideas suggest that a child's mind is shaped by experiences. This aligns with the approach many educators take today, focusing on providing diverse, hands-on learning experiences to help children build their knowledge. In early childhood education, for example, teachers often create environments rich with sensory activities, like playing with blocks, painting, or listening to music. These activities are crucial because they provide children with the raw material, the sensory experiences they need to fill up their blank slate with knowledge. In fact, Locke's ideas are even reflected in modern cognitive psychology. When we talk about how children learn language or social behaviors, we often say they pick these things up through interaction with their surroundings, by hearing words, seeing actions, and responding to them. Locke would say that these interactions are writing knowledge into their minds. But let me give you a simple story to make this even clearer. Imagine a young painter who's just inherited a large blank canvas. This canvas represents the painter's mind at birth, completely empty, full of potential. The painter doesn't know what to do with it at first, but then begins exploring the world. One day the painter sees a beautiful sunset, feels the warmth of the sun, and hears the birds chirping. Inspired by this sensory experience, the painter picks up a brush and starts to paint the scene. Over time, the painter encounters new experiences: a bustling city, a quiet forest, a calm ocean, and each one adds a new layer of color, texture, and detail to the painting. The painting becomes richer and more complex with every experience the painter has. By the end, the canvas is full of life and meaning, much like how our minds are shaped by the experiences we go through. This is Locke's tabula rasa in action, the blank canvas of our mind being filled with knowledge from the world around us. So to sum it all up, John Locke's theory of knowledge challenges the idea that we're born with built-in ideas. Instead, he believed that everything we know comes from our experiences and that our senses are the primary way we gather information. His distinction between primary and secondary qualities helps us understand how we perceive reality, and his ideas continue to influence modern education and psychology. Remember, your mind was once a blank slate, and everything you've learned is the result of the experiences you've had. What you choose to experience from now on will continue to shape that canvas of knowledge in ways you might not even expect. Thank you for learning with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insights into similar echoes